Heard of Manny Pacquiao when we first saw him, and the first impression was, pow.
Looks more sensational than Pacquiao looked the other night. No fight, name a fighter looked more sensational than Manny Pacquiao did the night he fought.
Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go!
I've seen guys fast before, and I've seen guys with power before, but never someone that had both. I knew he was special.
Manny Pacquiao is a baby of colossal proportions, the smallest giant in the world, the only boxer in history who became the world champion in 8 weight categories. Someday, countless odes will be written about Manny to the fact that, at the age of 40, on Saturday, July 20th, 2019, he defeated Keith Thurman, taking away his WBA Super title, becoming the oldest world welterweight champion in boxing history. This guy can make the most cruel and brutal duel positive and fun. He is the personification of all the contradictions of boxing, its inner beauty and intellectual disgust. All this is embodied in one person. Today, I bring to your attention to look at 5 of the brightest and most memorable fights of the Filipino champion, in my opinion, when he shocked the boxing world.
Manny came into the ring and bounced him off the canvas like a basketball. I hadn't seen a fighter in a smaller weight class like that. And it was clear that for as long as it lasted, it was going to be a fun ride.
When you watch how he puts his feet and throws his arms forward, striking them like a club, and he does it tirelessly for all 12 rounds, it seems that this is not a person, but a motor or a jackhammer. Pacquiao is the first and so far, the only boxer to win titles in 8 weight divisions. He started with the easiest and successfully rose to the first middle category. Do you remember how the period of admiration for the great Filipino began? After all, at one point, all of Mexico and a good part of boxing fans hated him. The very moment when Pacquiao turned from a potential force into an absolutely real power, sweeping away everyone in his path. Manny made a name for himself on the Mexicans, sorting them out one after the other for a good 5 years. San Antonio, USA, 2003, Manny Pacquiao vs. Marco Antonio Barrera. In 2003, Pacquiao signed a contract to fight the legendary Marco Antonio Barrera. This fight was supposed to be the first really serious test for the Filipino.
9 first-round knockouts for Pacquiao, 6 for Barrera.
In the first round, Pacquiao was knocked down, but this misunderstanding only angered the athlete who was hungry for victories.
See what happened on that knockdown, or was it a knockdown?
A straight left landed by PacMan. When he landed, he twisted his body in an angle where he lost.
He bombarded the venerable opponent with punches throughout the fight.
And come out with a determined rally in round 2. Antonio Barrera, now they know, and Pacquiao.
Very vulnerable for straight left.
Barrera getting 3 chances to counter with the left hook.
Probably a marvel.
As a result, Barrera himself was knocked down twice, and in the 11th round the coach could not watch how his ward was simply beaten and asked to stop the fight. It was Pacquiao's first truly meaningful victory.
He had very impressive speed. I remember, I was barely recovering from a missed blow as 4 more flew into me. The same thing happened to Oscar de la Hoya. In 2007, when we fought again, Manny wasn't that strong anymore. Yes, I lost, but I lost to Manny Pacquiao, one of the best in boxing history.
Las Vegas, USA, 2004, Manny Pacquiao vs. Juan Manuel Marquez.
I always tune in to the early end of the fight, especially with a boxer like Pacquiao.
Less than a year later, Manny was booked to fight Juan Manuel Marquez. Already in the first round, Pacquiao sent the Mexican to the floor 3 times, but he got up each time. It was a real battle. The fight lasted all 12 rounds. The judges recorded a draw. I note that in the course of the meeting, the Mexican found himself on the floor of the ring 3 times, but due to the effective work of both hands and a high pace, he managed to neutralize the advantage and reduce the meeting to a draw. The Filipino and the Mexican met 3 more times. Pacquiao prevailed twice. Marquez won once by knockout.
That was a good move right there.
That's why I call that round even.
Pacquiao is biting his nails.
Big time. Hard left hand by Pacquiao. Marquez anticipated Pacquiao's left hand. I thought he was too aggressive. Pacquiao's trainer told him
Las Vegas, USA, 2008. Oscar de la Hoya versus Manny Pacquiao. The Filipino did nothing extraordinary. He was no more skillful than Morales, and even more so Marquez, but he always won. Some fighters were defeated especially hard, without a single chance. Then it seemed that it was almost impossible to deal with the Mexican in the wheelhouse. Pacquiao didn't just prove otherwise, he set a whole new level of boxing. Pacquiao has come a long way through the low weights. In 2008, an audacious plan was born to challenge, literally, the biggest test of your career.
Pacquiao, who had moved up from the featherweight divisions to winning a lightweight title, to challenge De La Hoya, who was then fighting as a welterweight and junior middleweight. Guilty.
As soon as the fight was announced, everyone around was horrified that De La Hoya was huge and that Pacquiao would not only be beaten up, but seriously maimed as a result. The press scourged. The 1992 Barcelona Olympic champion Oscar de la Hoya, nicknamed the Golden Boy, was at that time the most eminent of all the Filipinos' rivals. To meet him, PacMan jumped to welterweight, bypassing one category. De La Hoya, who had an advantage in height and arm length, was considered the unconditional favorite, but it became clear already in the opening that the experts were deeply mistaken. When the gong sounded and the way Pacquiao led the fight quickly changed everyone's mind.
What surprised me, and has been prevalent most effective punch, the little left-hand lead of Manny's is we shoot right between
his head so that there is almost no height difference.
Oscar de la Hoya has fought.
You have to believe that.
He just landed a good left hook for the same reason that Pacquiao.
And Manny just punches his left
Pacquiao rallies down the stretch.
When the first blow was dealt, the battle was over. From that moment on, it became a matter of time.
The American simply did not have time to respond to Manny's lightning-fast attacks. Despite the long arms of the Golden Boy, he was hit hard. Before the 9th round, the corner of the American stopped the fight, and Pacquiao ascended to the boxing Olympus. De La Hoya, by the way, received such a painful blow to pride that he never returned to the ring. The fight with the Filipino was the last in his career.
Even in my worst nightmare, I could not imagine that Manny Pacquiao would be the way he was that evening. He was amazing, exciting, never stopped dropping punches.
Las Vegas, USA, 2009. Manny Pacquiao versus Ricky Hatton.
Pacquiao is a monotonous boxer. He's effective at what he does, but he's not versatile.
After Manny Pacquiao beat Oscar de la Hoya on December 6, 2008, American boxing will be PacMan's next opponent. They didn't have to think long. Already in mid-December 2008, negotiations began on the organization of the next mega fight, Pacquiao-Hatton. The boxers gave their oral consent to the fight. Returning to the ring after losing to Floyd Mayweather, Ricky Hatton defeated Juan Lozcano and Paulie Malignaggi. He and his team happily jumped at the opportunity to fight Pacquiao. Moreover, the fight was planned in light welterweight, where the Briton was most comfortable. However, not everything was so simple. Verbal consent had to be documented. This is where problems arose. Manny flatly refused to sign a 50-50 split of the PPV sales, insisting on a 60-40 split in his favor. Hatton's side looked to equal shares of pay-per-view revenue. It all got to the point that on January 22nd, a rumor appeared in the media that the fight was canceled. Bob Arum, the promoter of the Filipino, did not want the cancellation and made concessions to his boxer. He increased Manny's fee from $11 million to $12 million, and an agreement was reached with Ricky's team to split the pay-per-view revenue 52-48 in favor of Pacquiao. The obstacle has been removed. On January 23, 2009, the contract was signed.
His nickname, Hitman, doesn't match his mentality. It's too loud for him. On May 2nd, the fight won't last more than 3 rounds. He is the best boxer pound for pound. But this is my weight category. I am the best here. I know that I am an underdog. The fat Englishman will shock the whole world again, as it was in the fight with TSZYU. After that, no one will consider me worse.
At the beginning of the fight, it became obvious that Hatton's surprise was in the usual, and familiar to him, pressure. Manny was ready. In the first 2 minutes of the fight, his right side kick hit Hatton's chin 7 times. The Filipino's plan worked. Ricky was open to this blow during his spurts. Moreover, often, at the time of his attacks, he found himself in a frontal position, which further simplified the task for Pacquiao. 8 side kick with the right threw the Briton to the canvas. This was the beginning of the end. Manny managed to punch twice more with his right hand at the target and add to the left. Hatton fell again. Only the gong saved him from further trouble. But Hatton deserves credit. In the second round, he took a frank risk, knowing full well how it would end for him. Ricky landed some accurate right-hand shots, but it was only a drop in the ocean compared to his opponent's shots. With 10 seconds left in the round, Pacquiao landed a vicious left hook, sending Hatton to a dead-end knockout that was later voted the best knockout of 2009. Manny not only won, but literally ran over Hatton. He became the second boxer in history to reach the 6th weight category. The first was Oscar de la Hoya. But that was only the beginning. Pacquiao will become champion in 2 more divisions and set an absolute record, champion in 8 weight classes. This achievement is unlikely to be surpassed by anyone in the near future. The defeat shocked Hatton so much that he announced his retirement. Later, Ricky admitted that after this fight he was tormented by thoughts of suicide. Fortunately, the Briton overcome all difficulties and is now engaged in coaching and developing his promotion. Las Vegas, USA, 2009. Manny Pacquiao vs. Miguel Cotto. Pacquiao wouldn't be himself if he avoided a good fight. 6 months after an easy victory over Hatton, the Filipino met with Miguel Cotto, a first-class puncher from Puerto Rico. By that time, he had suffered only 1 loss in his career from Antonio Margarito, and this decision of the judges was quite controversial.
Our fight plan and strategy were to take our time. We needed time because we knew his strategy.
The fight lived up to the expectations of the fans. Both gave it their all, putting on a real show. In the first round, both fighters were ready, although Cotto seemed to have the upper hand as he landed some hard jabs that arguably won that round. However, from the second round, Pacquiao picked up the pace, knocking Cotto down in the third round with a right hook, and then again in the fourth round with a left uppercut. In the fifth round, Cotto set up a short comeback and arguably won the round, but Pacquiao continued to dominate the fight after that. Cotto had some success when he managed to pin Pacquiao to the ropes, although Pacquiao later admitted that he allowed this to happen as he wanted to test Cotto's strength.
And now he comes right back with the left hand again. You can never read him and figure out what he's going to do.
After a series of heavy hits in the 12th round, the judge stopped the fight. Cotto's corner did not want to give up until the last. Later, Pacquiao himself recognized this fight as the most difficult in his career. With this victory, Pacquiao took the WBO welterweight world title, his 7th world championship, to become the first boxer in history to win 7 world titles in 7 different weight classes. Pacquiao also won a special WBC diamond belt. On July 21, 2019, in Las Vegas, Manny came out victorious in a fight with American fighter Keith Thurman. For the 30-year-old Thurman, this defeat was the first in his career. The last and final fight in the Filipino's career took place 2 years later in 2021. Pacquiao entered the ring against Yordenis Ugas, losing by split decision. After the fight, Manny Pacquiao confirmed that he was ending his boxing career at the age of 42. Pacquiao became the only one in history who managed to become a champion in 8 weight categories. In general, he has 62 wins, 8 losses, and 2 draws. 39 times he defeated opponents by knockout. Be sure to write your top 5 PacMan fights in the comments below this video. It will be interesting to know